The ship Deep Miner 9 drifted slowly past Neptune's icy rings. It wasn't a military vessel, just a mining cruise, 6 people with drills, scanners, and long days of silence. Captain Raoul Jensen sat in the control chair, sipping cold coffee. He had worked in deep space for 22 years. Nothing surprised him anymore, till today. "Captain," said Lee, "the ship's scanner tech, theirs." "Something out here." Jensen frowned. "Another rock?" Lee shook her head. "No, it's ... too smooth, too big, metal. And it's not moving." Jensen stood and walked too. The main screen, what he saw made him drop his coffee. A shadow, large and dark, sat just beyond Neptune's orbit. It was shaped like a ship butt, massive, bigger than anything humans had ever built, bigger than Earth's moon. Silent, no heat, no radio, just ... there. They sent a drone. The small robot flew through empty space toward the giant structure. As it got closer, the lights on Deep Miner 9 flickered. "Power surge," muttered Lee, "just static." Maybe she didn't finish. The ship's speakers crackled to life. A voice spoke, not robotic, not alien. It was human, soft, calm, chilling. "This is not your sky. You are passengers." Silence followed. No one moved. Raoul Jensen whispered, "Play that back." They played the recording 5 times. Every time the voice said the same words. But the drone had no microphone, no speaker. It wasn't sending any sound, and yet they all heard it. "Could this be an Earth signal?" asked Patel, the engineer. Lee shook her head again. "Possible. We're too far. And that voice, it's not coming from outside. It's not, what, inside our ship." The crew looked at each other. "What is that thing?" asked Lee. Jensen didn't answer. They named it the Ark. It had no windows, no engines, no visible doors, just smooth black metal, curved like a sleeping beast, orbiting Neptune like it had always been there. NASA, the UN, even China's Lunar Command tried to contact it. Number. Reply, no signal. But every time a human ship got too close, the same voice whispered again. "You are passengers. Do not reach for the wheel." 6 days passed. The Deep Miner 9 stayed in orbit, watching, recording. Then something changed. At 3:12 ship time, the lights on the Ark blinked on just once, a soft white pulse across the surface. At the same moment, Lee screamed. She collapsed on the floor, shaking. Jensen ran to her. "What's happening?" Lee's eyes were open, but she wasn't there. She spoke in a voice that wasn't hers. One by one, they took their turns. One by one, they disappeared. Then, silence. She blinked, came back. "What happened?" She whispered. Jensen stared at her. You ... You spoke in riddles." Lee looked terrified. "I saw something. I wasn't me. I was floating like I was someone else. Someone inside the Ark. The UN ordered all ships to pull back. Too dangerous. Unknown tech. Unknown purpose." But then came the second voice. This time, it wasn't a whisper. It was a full message sent across every human channel. A woman's voice.com. Ancient. "You found it. The ship that carries ships. It's the builder of fleets. You are early. But now, the door is open." The Ark turned. Slowly, with power no one could detect. It aimed toward the sun, and then it disappeared, not into warp. Not hyperspace. Just gone. On Earth, people panicked. Was it a weapon? An ancient god machine? A threat? Governments argued. Religions made prophecies. Children drew the Ark in schools. But no one knew what it really was until 3 weeks later. The Ark returned. Reappeared above Mars, and this time it opened. A long, dark hatch slid apart. From inside came another ship, but not human, not alien either. It was made of strange white glass, shaped like a giant feather, glowing with soft blue light. Behind it, more ships followed. 10, 20, 30, all different shapes, all quiet, all floating. And then one of the new ships broke away from the group and headed for Earth, in a dark room deep inside NASA. A scientist looked at the data and whispered, "We were never alone." Raul Jensen, now back on Earth, stood by the news screen, watching in silence. He remembered the voice. "This is not your sky." And he knew the Ark had only just begun to speak. News channels played the same loop again and again, a glowing feather-shaped ship descending through Earth's atmosphere. No heat, no fire, just drifting gently like a falling snowflake. People watched from rooftops and fields. Air forces, scrambled jets, but none got close. The ship ignored everything. It landed in the Sahara Desert. Then it opened. But nothing came out. No aliens, no weapons, no sound. Just an empty ramp. And a message broadcast across every screen on Earth. "This vessel is gifted. One of many. Step inside. Choose your path." Governments argued. Was it a trap, a test? Then came something stranger. In cities across the planet, humans began having dreams. It's the same dream. They stood inside the glowing ship. They touched walls that pulsed with light. They heard a voice whisper, "One must." Pilot, one must decide. One must stay behind. And in every dream, the person chosen was different. At NASA, Dr. Layla Monroe ran brain scans on dozens of people claiming they saw the ship from inside. They all had the same neural spike, the same signals. "This isn't imagination," she said. "This is contact." Meanwhile, back in orbit, the Ark remained still like a watchful giant. From its dark body, more ships launched every few days. Some went to Earth, others flew to Jupiter, Saturn, and even beyond the solar system. They seemed to be seeding. Each ship carried a new message. These vessels await purpose. They are not weapons. They are keys. But keys to what? Inside the Sahara ship, cameras revealed only glowing corridors, smooth walls, no engines, no cockpit. Just one central chamber with a seat shaped perfectly for a human. No one dared sit at first, until a woman named Alina Ward, a retired astronaut, entered the chamber live on global broadcast. She sat. The moment her body touched the seat, lights burst across the room. Symbols flew through the air like holograms, but alive. Her eyes rolled back, then she spoke. But it wasn't her voice. "You reached for the stars with fire. We traveled with thought. Now thought and fire must walk together." When Alina stood up, she collapsed. Doctors rushed in. She was fine physically, but her brain scans showed something new. A second brainwave pattern, layered over hers like another mind had touched hers. "I saw it," she whispered later. "The galaxy, the places we haven't found, the wars we were supposed to miss, the gifts we were supposed to carry." "What does that mean?" asked a reporter. She looked at the sky. "It means humanity was always meant to ride." The next day, another ship arrived, this time over Tokyo. But this one didn't land, hovered for 3 hours, then dropped a small cube onto the roof of a building. Inside the cube was a WA. A QA was a WA. A WA was a WA scanner. APA, F. It's like you're gonna die. Like, look at this. And we all know I've been exploring. We all know I've been exploring. That case, Ev, while not joke 2, with single line of text, 1 species per seat. The race has already begun. Governments panicked. What race? Who else was flying these ships then? Finally, Earth got an answer. A message arrived encrypted, bouncing between satellites. It wasn't from the Ark, it was from another species. Not human, not friendly. It read, You were slow to wake. You are late to claim. The lanes are opening. We do not share sky. Back on the Deep Miner 9, Captain Jensen had returned to duty, but his eyes never left the stars. He knew what was coming. Not war, not peace, something older. A race that had been waiting for humans to catch up. And now that humans had the arcs, ships that could create other ships, they were being invited to join the galaxy, but not welcomed. Talks. Allowed if they were fast enough, if they were smart enough, if they survived. More humans entered the ships and came back changed faster thinkers. Sharper senses people began to understand. The ships weren't just for travel. They were for evolution. And humanity had only just begun the first lap. The world was no longer calm. In just 2 weeks, 5 alien ships had arrived. Each ship landed silently, opened its ramp, and waited. All around Earth, people stood in long lines beside the glowing vessels. Some came with hope, others with fear. No one knew what would happen if they sat in the seat. But then came the first departure. A young engineer named Omar Faison entered the Johannesburg ship. He sat. Nothing happened for 5 minutes. Then the ship closed its ramp and rose into the sky. It vanished, gone. No message, no goodbye. Everyone thought he had died. 3 days later, a message arrived from outside the solar system. It was Omar. His voice was calm, clear, confident. I'm alive. The ship moved through folded space. I can see hundreds of other ships. Some are human, some are not. This is a race. But it's also a test. I think we're being watched. The world changed in an instant. People began calling the event the calling. Those who entered the ships were no longer just explorers. They were pilots, chosen or maybe tested. At Earth's command, Dr. Layla Monroe ran new scans. On volunteers, she found something strange. Some people showed stronger brain activity near the ships. Their thoughts moved faster. They could guess the ship's responses before touching anything. They're sinking, she said. The ships are reading them. Like a mental handshake. Not everyone could connect. Some stepped inside and nothing happened. Others touched the seat and collapsed. Only a few were accepted. In one of the European ships, a young deaf girl named Alina sat in the seat. The ship lit up instantly. She couldn't hear the voice, but she understood it. She piloted the ship without sound, without words. When she returned, her face was glowing with tears. They don't speak, she signed, they think. That moment changed everything. The ships weren't using language. They were using thoughts. Kay and children, artists, dreamers, tipo, with open minds, were the ones connecting best. But not everyone trusted it. In Russia, a military unit tried to forcefully control a ship. They brought weapons, tried to hack the panels. The ship shut its ramp and melted into the ground, vanished completely. All 40 soldiers inside were never seen again. A warning. Maybe. Meanwhile, Captain Jensen of the Deep Miner 9 watched Earth from orbit. He still remembered the first message from the Ark. You are passengers. What did it mean? Why weren't humans being called owners or riders? He asked Dr. Monroe during a private video call. She looked tired. Her reply was soft. I think the galaxy doesn't see us as equals. Not yet. We've been given the wheel, but we're still on a leash. That night, Earth received a new signal. It didn't come from a ship. It came from beyond Pluto, the Ark. For the first time, it sent more than a whisper. A full message. All who sit must choose. Where you go is not where you return. Those who fly will be changed. Those who win will never be the same. Governments argued about its meaning. But it was already too late. Thousands had already entered the ships. Dozens had launched. The human race had begun. In orbit, one of the new pilots Somar sent. One more message. We're not flying through space. We're flying through history. This is a path laid by something older than stars. We're just now walking it. His ship disappeared behind Saturn's rings, and Earth knew one thing for certain. Humanity had taken the seat. Now it had to prove it belonged. Above Mars, one of the human-piloted alien ships drifted silently. It had stopped moving. The pilot inside was 14-year-old Miguel Santos. He had been chosen by the ship just 5 days earlier. A quiet boy from Brazil, Miguel had shown incredible mental sync during testing. He was the youngest ever to be accepted. Now, his ship wasn't responding. Earth Command tried to reach him. No reply. Cameras showed Miguel still sitting in the pilot seat, eyes closed, breathing, barely. Then the ship turned, slowly, by itself, and started flying toward deep space. No one had ordered it, not even Miguel. Inside Earth's control station, Dr. Layla Monroe stood frozen. "It's not flying it," she whispered. "It's taking him." The signal from the ship grew weaker as it passed Neptune, then it vanished. For the first time since the ships arrived, humanity had lost one of its own. Not in a crash, not in battle, but to something they didn't understand. 3 hours later, another signal came in. It wasn't from Miguel, it was from the Ark. A deep, vibrating sound. Not words, but a feeling, pain, loss, warning. Dr. Monroe translated the patterns. One path has closed. A pilot was not ready. Mistake was made. Others may follow. On the surface of Earth, panic began to grow. News channels aired reports of the first death. Parents pulled their children from the volunteer lists. Some called for all ships to be grounded. Religious groups declared it a divine punishment. Was humanity playing with technology it could not control? But some stayed calm. Captain Jensen watched the news quietly aboard the Titan. He had seen danger before. He'd also seen courage. "This isn't a game," he said to his crew. "Is a mirror. The ships are showing us who we really are." Back at Earth Command, a new figure entered the story. Admiral Suri Bakshi, a cold, sharp-minded military leader. She had been against the Blink Drive project from the start. Now she had new orders from the Global Security Council. "We will control the ships. We will build human interfaces. We will decide who flies." Dr. Monroe objected. "They don't follow commands," she argued. "They follow connection." But Bakshi didn't care. "The next mistake could be war," she said. "Or extinction." She ordered to test. Subjects trained soldiers to board a docked ship. They were given headsets to override the ship's controls. The ship reacted immediately. The panels went dark. The lights turned red. Then the ramp closed, locking the soldiers inside. 5 minutes later, the ship exploded from within. No fire, no parts, just dust. Both soldiers were gone. The Ark sent a second message. "Force breaks the passenger. Thought shapes the journey. You were warned." Even the skeptics fell silent. Humanity had not just made a mistake, it had been judged. Meanwhile, something strange happened near Saturn. Omar Faison's ship, one of the first to depart, returned. But not to Earth, to Mars. The ship opened its ramp. Omar stepped out. But he looked older, much older, almost like he'd lived 20 years in just 10 days. He didn't speak. He only handed Dr. Monroe a small crystal cube. Inside was a memory, a recording of a new world. It showed cities floating in the clouds, beings made of light, and ships, thousands of them moving like birds in a sky made of stars. "They are watching us," said Dr. Monroe, her voice shaking. "The time doesn't move the same for them." That night, Omar finally spoke. Only 3 words. "He's not gone." "Who?" they asked. "Miguel." He didn't answer. He only pointed at the sky and smiled. The Ark was no longer silent. It began to hum, slowly, deeply, like a voice in space that had just awakened from a long sleep. All around the solar system, the alien ships responded. Each one changed direction, turning away from Earth and pointing toward a single location, a small, dark planet beyond Pluto. It had no name, no heat, no light. But now it was glowing blue and pulling the ships toward it. Inside the Earth's command center, Dr. Lala Monroe watched the readings. "This planet didn't exist before," she whispered. "It wasn't here." "Admiral." Sori Bakshi stood beside her, arms crossed, voice hard. "Then it's a trap," she said. But the Ark sent another message. This time it was longer. The path must be tested. Only those who understand will survive. This is not a trap. This is your mirror. 3 pilots were chosen to go. Omar Faison, the only human who had returned from deep space. Captain Jensen, the oldest and most experienced pilot in the fleet. And a new name, Samantha Rowe. A young woman with no military training but a rare ability. Her ship responded to her like no other, almost like it trusted her. Together, they left Mars and flew toward the dark planet. They passed Pluto. The planet lit up even more, now showing ancient markings, like writing across its frozen surface. Samantha whispered, "It's calling us." Omar nodded. Jensen said nothing. They landed near a massive entrance's circular gate made of black stone. It opened silently as they approached. The ships stayed behind. Only the humans could go. And each pilot stepped through the gate and vanished. They reappeared in different places. Samantha found herself in a world full of mirrors floating in the sky. Each mirror showed a version of her life, her mistakes, her fears, her doubts. She screamed, "What is this?" A voice answered, not in her ears, but in her mind, truth. Only truth can lead. She had to walk forward through every mirror, face every failure, still believe she had purpose. Captain Jensen found himself in a battlefield. Dead soldiers lay around him. The air smelled of smoke. It was a memory, but twisted. His worst mission replayed again and again. He saw the moment he gave the wrong command. The moment lives were lost. The moment he lied about it. "This is who I am," he whispered. A voice replied, "Then why are you still standing?" Omar Faison stood in darkness, total silence. Then he saw Miguel, the boy pilot who had vanished. Miguel's eyes glowed. His voice was not human anymore. "You are not alone. Time is a circle here. I left the path, but I returned with light. Show them. The test is not death, it's choice." Omar's hands began to glow with the same blue light. He was changing. Back on Earth, the Ark opened for the first time. A massive hatch unfolded. Inside was a room so big it looked like the sky itself. Inside, floating, were thousands of ships, all different, all ancient. Some looked like birds, others like stars. They weren't tools, they were life forms. Admiral Bakshi ordered drones inside, but none returned. Then she tried missiles. The Ark closed the hatch again and sent a new message. Those who do not learn will not be allowed to lead. One more test remains. 3 hours later, the pilots returned. They appeared back in their ships live, but changed. Captain Jensen's white hair was now black again. Samantha's eyes glowed with gold light. And Omar, he floated out of his ship. No suit. No fear. He breathed space like air. "It's not about control," he said. "It's about becoming." Back on Earth, fear became wonder. The world watched as the 3 ships rose above the atmosphere, followed by the others. They flew in formation toward the Ark, not as weapons, but as students. The 3 pilots, Omar Faison, Captain Jensen, and Samantha Rowe, carried something different inside them. Something no human had ever felt before. They didn't speak much. They didn't have to. Their minds were clear. Their ships moved, like birds in water. And the Ark had opened again, revealing its heart. Not a control center, not weapons, but a door. a glowing, golden, swirling doorway floating in the middle of the ark's core. No walls, no floor, just the door. And above it, words appeared in every language ever spoken on Earth. Those who pass this door will not return the same. You are passengers. Now choose pilot or prisoner. Earth Command watched in silence. Billions across Earth held their breath. Some feared it. Others wanted to attack it. But the three pilots without orders moved forward. The ships floated gently into the arc center. One by one, they stopped in front of the door. Captain Jensen looked back. His voice shook for the first time in years. If this is where we end, then we end knowing we tried. Samantha just smiled. Omar closed his eyes, and then they entered the door. The universe blinked. Earth lost all signals. For 3 minutes and 14 seconds, the planet was alone in silence. Then, a new star appeared in the sky. But it wasn't a star. It was a city made of light orbiting Jupiter. Inside this strange floating city, the three pilots stood on a platform surrounded by beings of light. They weren't aliens with weapons. They looked like echoes, old memories of different species, all united. Omar stepped forward. "What is this place?" One being answered, "This is the bridge of sentience. Those who build ships that ship ships reach here. You. Now see beyond your design." The beings explained the truth. The Ark was not a ship. It was a relay test station built by the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Civilizations that had all destroyed themselves once they reached the power to travel faster than light. The blink drive, the AI war, the control of time. Every species made the same mistake. They reached for power. Before understanding who they were, the Ark existed to stop that mistake. Only species who passed the trial of self, who faced their fears, guilt, and identity, were allowed to go further. Now, humanity had passed, but the gift wasn't ships. It wasn't technology. It was a choice. The beings offered Earth a second Ark, one that would stay above Earth's moon. It could connect them to the galactic network. It could teach, share, guide, but only if Earth chose unity. Not war, not control, not greed. This is not a reward. The light being said, "It is a door. If you fight over it, it will close forever." Back on Earth, chaos followed. Nations fought over what to do. Who would control the new Ark? Should it be weaponized, sold, or shared? Then something unexpected happened. The children of Earth spoke. Across social media, live streams, and in classrooms, kids and teens began to post one message: "We want to learn, not fight." Millions marched. No violence, just truth, just curiosity, just hope. The UN created a new division, the human continuum, made of scientists, philosophers, children, artists, and even janitors. No generals, no billionaires. They would be Earth's first bridge council, a team meant not to lead, but to listen. As Earth adjusted to this new reality, Omar, Samantha, and Jensen were given a final message from the beings of light. The stars are not empty, but they are patient. Welcome, pilots. Your journey begins now. The Ark above Earth pulsed with soft light. One by one, new ships awakened inside its strange shapes, alive and breathing. Not machines, but partners. And the first human children began training in them not as soldiers, but as dreamers. This was first contact. It wasn't a battle, it was a mirror. And somehow humanity passed.